You're listening to the Real Estate Sessions, and I'm your host, Bill Risser. With nearly 25 years in the real estate business, I love to interview industry leaders, up-and-comers, and really anyone with a story to tell. It's the stories that led my guests to a career in the real estate world that drives me into my 9th year and nearly 400 episodes of the podcast. And now, I hope you enjoy the next journey. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 390 of the Real Estate Sessions podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for telling a friend. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. Yeah, it's going to be another monologue, meaning I don't have a guest. And I want to kind of just riff on a few things that popped into my mind this week. You know, I'll call it a shortcut session because this will not be a typical half hour to 40-minute interview style podcast episode. It's just going to be me rambling a little bit. I hope that's okay, because here we go. First, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on John Biorli. We had an episode a little while back where we talked about John's Die Happy Tour 2024, and John's doing actually very well. He was back in Rhode Island the last weekend of June, checking out the U.S. Senior Open with his son. I know they had a great time. And then he had a couple of stops along the way back east before he headed back to Phoenix. So the tour continues, the stories and the anecdotes and the content for his book continues to flow in. And if you haven't been watching John and his sister Lisa on his YouTube channel, I've got the link for that YouTube show in the show notes. You can check that out and see how well they're doing with their duets. It's been great. John on the piano, Lisa on vocals, and every now and then John slips some vocals in as well. So John's doing great. I've had people ask about him. I just wanted to make sure that we got that out there, and the tour continues. Second, you know, I don't really play a lot on social media. I post a little bit, but not much. I comment a little, but not much. And I've got to step up my game there. So I'm going to start here on the podcast because this is easier. And I just want to throw out some people you should be following, people that are doing some great stuff, and people that I know. And to be honest, all 6 of these people I'm going to throw out there all have been on the podcast. Good. Look, if I find interesting people, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to start with Sean Carpenter. I think you all know Sean. Sean's doing some great stuff online. He's just generating questions and having fun with it. But ultimately, what I think you should do is you've got to make sure that you subscribe to Sean's blog. It is called Carp's Corner. You can find it at carpscorner.net. It comes out every Monday morning. He's really like clockwork. He's well over 1,000 episodes. And Sean's a very gifted writer, so go ahead and connect with him. Second, you got to connect with Tiffany McQuaid. Now, Tiffany runs her own McQuaid & Company brokerage down in Naples. A lot of you might already know who she is. And she's written a book called The Nth Degree. I mean, she's done some really cool stuff, and her social media rocks. So make sure you connect with Tiffany McQuaid. I'm going to throw Anthony Malafronte into this group. Anthony's always on top of social. He's really a good commenter. I know he pays attention to what's out there, but he's also got a couple of great feeds himself. He's worth following. Always doing great stuff. Much like Sean has his build relationships, solve problems, and have fun. For Anthony's, it's get up, show up, and do the work. Both these guys know what they're doing. Let's stay in Naples for another favorite, and that's going to be Sue Benson, Sue Pinky Benson. She's a must follow. If you're trying to do anything with video, Sue's your gal. She is just fantastic with Instagram. And her content is unbelievable, rocks. It's whether it's content that's for her business, where she and her husband, Josh, are selling properties, or whether she's just trying to help agents figure out how to use reels and stories better. So I think it's really a no-brainer. You've got to stay connected with Sue. I'm going to go up to the Northeast. This is tough. Sometimes, you know, in the sports world, they're tough to deal with. But I got to tell you, there's a guy up there, Jeff Chalmers, as we like to call him. Jeff is a lender, but also an expert at connecting people, an expert at really understanding how to use social to build relationships. I mean, really strong relationships. Jeff is the BFAM of a lot of people. If you don't know what that means, you got to go follow Jeff, get on his radar, and soon you'll be a BFAM as well. He's got some really great stuff. And then finally, let's go really on the educational side, and that's going to be Chelsea Pietz. Chelsea is out of Phoenix, and she's really a social media expert, especially video. Here we come back to the video side of things because I just think it's so important, says the guy who does not record video when he does his podcast. It's just kind of funny. So I think, Chelsea's great. Just look her up. And remember, all of these, I'll have links to all of these people in the show notes. So whether you're going through Apple Podcasts or Overcast, all of them will have a link to the show notes. You want to go there and you can connect with these people very easily if you haven't already. My next thought is about art, and it's an artist here in St. Petersburg. Her name is Vanessa Levesque. Cindy and I bought a piece. We also bought a piece for Kevin and Sarah, and we really enjoy what she does. We saw her at an art show in Gulfport, of all places, and that's where we got our first piece. And she's really, really unique. She's super funny. This is what she writes, and I think this is great. I'm just going to read this off of her website. With my art, I get to challenge the belief that we should aspire to the status quo, that we should squeeze ourselves into boxes that we don't fit into, that we should dim the very things that make us the individuals we are. My art is a reminder to live your life on your terms, exactly how you want, with total belief in yourself. That is so cool. So Vanessa's got a website. I've got a link in the show notes, and she just does some really wild stuff. I'm going to say right now, if you're easily offended, maybe don't go there. However, you shouldn't be easily offended. So head on over anyways and check it out. I'd love to hear what you think. It's really cool stuff. She also has a newsletter, so make sure you go to the website, subscribe for that. She's a wonderful writer and very funny and really unique about, the St. Pete area, her life, her family, just some really good stuff. So that's Vanessa Levesque. Next, I just want to share a bit about a trip that Cindy and I took. It was kind of tagged on to the end of a meeting with the team that I work with at Fidelity National Financial. But since we were in Reno for that meeting, we ended up going away for a quick weekend getaway to Lake Tahoe with a few of the other people on the team. And it was spectacular. I was there once when it snowed pretty much the entire time I was there, but visiting Lake Tahoe at the end of June was spectacular. Weather was in the high 70s, not a cloud in the sky. You've got the dark blue water of Lake Tahoe with that blue sky above. And we were able to drive around the entire lake. By the way, 72 miles to do a loop around the lake. It takes about 3 hours with traffic and the little towns you're going through. It was pretty neat. We saw a brown bear on that trip right on the street. So we had to be very careful. Windows went up quickly. And, it really was a blast. We stayed at a Marriott property that was actually right on the state line. So you absolutely know where the state line is because the casinos are on the Nevada side are built right to the California-Nevada state line. So Cindy had a chance to play a little bit there, which is what she likes to do. And I had a little chance to play the Edgewood Country Club, where they host the American Century Celebrity Golf Championship Tournament every year. A lot of entertainment stars, athletes, all up there playing this course. Well, I ended up playing that. I got an 8:40 tee time on a Saturday. Whoever turns that down, I actually chose to take a caddy and walked with the caddy. It was a local guy, and we had a great time talking about a lot of different things. Now, the golf was so-so. I was using rentals. No excuse there. But I had a blast. Played with a father and son up from Southern California, near Anaheim. A little better golfers than me, which is always good. Kind of keeps you trying hard, and they were a lot of fun to play with. So just a shout out to Lake Tahoe and a big shout out to Bert's Diner. It was fantastic. We got there just after they opened and there were only 2 tables left. It was a very popular place. And 900 feet, according to Google Maps, down the street, Bert's Diner has a competitor in Ernie's Cafe. Yeah, Bert and Ernie, right there in Lake Tahoe. So if you're in Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe, make sure you go down to the Y. All the locals call it that. It's just kind of a fork in the road. Go down to the Y. There's some really cool options down there for food. Literally, there's options for food around the entire lake. So just throwing that out there. If you haven't put that in your plans and you're ever in Northern California, it's really close, a couple hours from the Bay Area. Don't forget about Lake Tahoe. We had an absolute blast. And finally, just a quick hit on how things are going with my new role at Fidelity National Financial, the mothership with, we have all the brands underneath. And I work closely with the sales teams on all the brands in Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. So primarily Florida and Texas is where the bulk of the people are. And it's really been a blast to share my knowledge with them, talk to them about what's working, what's not working in the world of technology with real estate agents. And it's been really fun to have this a little more internal role instead of the external role I had for the roughly 17 years. I was doing that sort of thing with Fidelity. So it's going great. I love what I'm doing. I'm so happy to be back with the Fidelity family. And if you need a sales executive from your title provider that really rocks and knows what they're doing, reach out to me. I can take care of that and help you out no matter where you're at in the country. Well, that's it for this week. Episode 390, I'm going to officially call it in the books. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I understand we're all busy, and I hope I gave you a little bit of information that's going to help you out somewhere down the road. So I'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Sessions. Please head over to ratethispodcast.com/RE Sessions to leave a review or a rating, and subscribe to the Real Estate Sessions podcast at your favorite podcast listening app.